bit. I think Pick had a little bit of a community gathering yesterday. Looked like a lot of fun. Definitely a little jelly that we're stuck over here, but then again, it is snowing over here, Waddy, and I bet they don't have snow in Atlanta.
I bet you don't have snow in Atlanta. Yeah, we've had a great time trying to get a taxi to the studio all day.
Yeah, we almost
so
missed
much
it.
Fun. Yeah.
We were stuck on the highway for 40 minutes, guys. The Uber couldn't drive too much snow. But in the end, we made it. So ByuN is opening up with a barracks at the bottom side of the map. So it's kind of a fake proxy. And correct me if I'm wrong, Waddy, but I really feel that this kind of fell out of fashion. You know, like this is something we used to do. But you don't really see it that much anymore.
Yeah, not over there at least, right? Like maybe like just up from the main base, so it's not there, but it's very quick to get back. This is a bit further out, so very intriguing. Very interested as to what ByuN is going to do with this. I mean, it makes sense for ByuN to go kind of factory before he expands, gets a bit aggressive. Yeah. That's what he likes to do. But yeah, the positioning of the racks, I'm with you. It's a little bit strange.
You know, it's really funny. Like this Reaper, like the double gas openings from Terran players, and then like two Reapers, a Hellion, and they just suicided in. It really became a thing, and at first, when I was playing a lot of games myself, I was like, man, this doesn't make any sense to me as Terran players. Like, their command center is now so much later, these units are never going to kill a whole lot. Like, I like playing against this as Protoss, but then the more I went up against it, the more I started losing a few more probes than I'm supposed to over and over again. And even when you build a battery, sometimes your battery is not quite finished up yet. And I'm looking at the replay, I'm like, holy smokes, 4 minutes in, I'm only like 3 workers ahead. Why am I only 3 workers ahead as a Protoss? So I kind of came around in this opening. At first, I was never that fond of it, but something about it just clicks with Terran players, and it kind of works, keeping those worker counts a little bit closer than they otherwise would be.
Yeah, able to put on that early pressure, able to snag a couple of worker kills early on definitely goes a long way. That's what ByuN will be perhaps looking for here as he runs straight into the natural, catches Zoun off guard. There's no probe there though, so no damage to really be done. Just a couple shots on a building battery.
Well, what this is already causing right now is that little bit of indirect damage, right? Zoun was already worried about this happening, so he didn't have any probes yet. At the low ground, we have now 25 probes, but obviously you don't ever want to have 25 probes all in your main base. So yeah, it's already causing a bit of damage, and yeah, we're like 3 minutes, 12 seconds in. Worker difference right now is 2, despite the fact that that second command center is so late, which is fascinating, because if we go Reaper fast expand, you think that's better for the Terran economy, but then there are 7 workers behind, so explain it to me, what it goes. Doesn't make any sense.
I mean, you're just scaring the pros into making units, maybe a chrono boost on a gateway instead of on probes, right? It's those little things which actually have that big effect on these early games.
Yeah, and you don't saturate, I guess, the mineral line early on, and you're building a battery, and yeah, maybe 1 extra unit. Zoun is now creating that 5 worker lead that we are used to seeing, but it obviously took a little while. And ByuN still has these units, there's always a possibility to eventually find some damage, but I gotta say, so far so good from Zoun. That is excellent defensive unit positioning, and he's making it hard for ByuN to find an opening. But the problem as well, as a Protoss, when you play against Reaper Hellion, you're so focused on Reaper Hellion, you blink a couple times, you're like, wait a minute, what else is happening, right? You kind of lost track of the regular things that are normally easy to scout. You don't want to send the adepts out, because you need the adepts to defend. And at this point, Zoun has absolutely no idea about this drop coming, but that is an excellent split off on the Zealot.
Yep, Zealot gets a spot. The Stalk's getting position, and the medevac diverted for the moment. So this will be spotted, and this will be dealt with. The Widowmine drop goes nowhere. And now we're going to have Zoun finishing up his blink, ready to get across the map and maybe put some damage of his own into play. Let's see how ByuN does defensively. Tank on the way up, Raven on the way up, auto turret will be important there. Even better if ByuN can keep that Raven alive throughout this.
Zoun is going to drop a 3rd Nexus, so even though we have a very quick Warp Prism, we also have a quick expand. Not something that we never see, but most of the time I like it a little bit more when Protoss players say either it's all defense and then you make observers, right? You send observers to the other side of the map, you put observers in locations where they can spot drops, and you build a lot of probes. Like right now, it's 38 probes against 37 SCVs, Waddy, and that is just what I not like about what Zoun's doing right now, because I still don't know. Does he want to be aggressive? Does he want to defend? At first, he's going to try to deal with this Widowmine drop. He does get the medevac, and the first Widowmine actually shoots at a probe that goes into the Vespian geysers, so didn't take a lot of damage there. But right now, like, we need to do something on the other side of the map, otherwise this is not going to be a pretty game for Zoun. But he's got all the micro potential in the world with Blink and the Warp Prism.
Yep, he's going to go straight into the main base here. That will be his first point of attack, unloading the corner, maybe get an additional warp in before he really presses through. ByuN sees it, he'll start a reposition, trying to get a tank across, as his factory's going to leave that tech lab as well. And he's already losing a couple of SCVs, trying to give him that advantage. The Raven's across the map, so will auto turret right slap bang middle of the mineral line. Going to get a bunch of probes here, making up for the SCV losses. I think that's brilliant for ByuN.
That is sick, actually. Very, very, very well done there with the Raven. A lot of lost mining time, and ByuN has just killed more probes than Zoun killed SCVs. Zoun is not going into a robo base. Zoun does not have a forge or even double forge. Well, right as I mentioned it, he does drop the first forge, but it's gonna take a long time. 46 SCVs against 39 probes. You would normally think like, whoa, what went so terribly wrong for Zoun in this game? And nothing really. It's just a couple little things that really add up.
This is the sort of game where it's like, man, did he have like Hellions in his mineral line early in the game? It's like, no, he just, an auto turret, right? Like a couple SCVs here, just got thrown off a little bit. It's just the knock-on effect of all those little things, and ByuN in a masterful position at this point, just waiting on his upgrades, and he's going to be really good to go.
Yep, Zoun really wants a tank and does get a tank, but takes a lot of damage on the Stalkers. I don't think we lost a single Stalker there, so that's obviously kind of cool. ByuN at this point picks up an Observer. Oh, that's risky. Is he going to unload here immediately? I kind of hope he does for ByuN's sake. Good job there with the Stalkers. That's excellent by Zoun, because this double drop, if all of those units are unloaded with Stim, they wipe the floor with the army. So excellent catch there by our Korean Protoss.
Yeah, great couple moments for Zoun with the tank pickoff as well initially, as now we chase these Stalkers back. And ByuN will get a chance to be across the map, but Zoun has a lot of gateways in play. He does have the charge finished. A couple pylons coming through to get on supply blocked, and that means he should be free to make those Zealots, which will help him to hold this off with the Prism for the counterattack opportunity as well. He's set up well to be able to deal with this. We'll see if the numbers add up in his favor.
I wouldn't hate a couple of extra Widow Mines for ByuN, as he does have 2 Widow Mines in production. I think that makes a lot of sense. He probably has a pretty good idea that Zoun is going to spam gateway units, that Prism is going to head into the main base. And these Zealots will definitely pack a punch. They already have charge. ByuN tried to fight it at first. He's like, I don't quite have the ByuN units. Excellent Prism play here by Zoun. That's a really good way to still get some value out of that Prism after the initial harass with the Stalkers didn't work out.
Yep, those Zealots getting blown up on that picture-in-picture, and the Bio finally coming through to clean this up, as ByuN never did anything across the map. So 10 SCVs going down, and Zoun really is making an effort to turn this game a bit more in his favor.
The only problem is that the bigger the armies grow, the worse Zealot Stalker becomes, right? This is kind of as big as you want armies to get, and if all these Zealots pounce on the Terran army right now, that's pretty sweet for Zoun, even if he doesn't have an armor upgrade. But you don't want to wait too much longer, because if the Widow Mine count increases to 6 or 7, then an army like this basically can't really do a whole lot anymore. So I don't hate the idea of Zoun, who's going to try to make some magic happen now, but he obviously needs to be very careful without any armor upgrades.
Yep, absolutely is just going to try and set off this Widow Mine. Doesn't manage to, though, and actually loses a Stalker. Now there's Immortal in trouble. We are going to get it. The force field's terrible for Zoun as well, because it's hurting his Zealots. And now ByuN thinks he can chase, looking for second Immortal kill, and just kiting back. And again, the force field honestly doesn't hurt ByuN all that much, as we do have Zealots going to counterattack in, though that's going to be Zoun's biggest opportunity at this point.
Yep, there are a couple of leftover Widow Mines in the main base that can still deal with these Zealots, but that was sweet. But indeed, that force field was the best force field that ByuN could have possibly worked with, because only 1 or 2 Zealots at a time were attacking. We do have the Immortals here helping out a little bit, getting some good shots off on these Marauders, and ByuN is absolutely in a little bit of trouble now for the first time. Army supply is still fine, but these Widow Mines need some good connections, and it seems like they will. That's very important, man. Otherwise ByuN would have been close to being forced to tap out. Zoun doesn't seem like he's quite done yet, but he's got a 17 worker lead now, and a Colossus is on the way. This Prism is the absolute MVP of the game. Don't throw away too many units at this point, though, Zoun. I feel like you've done so well at this point, it'd be a shame to throw away even more units.
Yeah, absolutely would be. Those Widow Mines going off, not so great for ByuN. And this is where his worker count is going to hurt. His army is a little bit better, but Zoun's going to be able to build so much more from here, especially with ByuN's third base back into the main. As ByuN goes chasing down these few Stalkers, the Prism evacuates them, and behind this, the Robobay came up. The Colossi are coming through, so Zoun has more than just pure Zealot Stalker. He has real-life splash damage now in play.
That Prism has absolutely been the MVP of this game so far, and the cool thing is it's still full on HP.
Yeah, no shot.
Got close to falling, so Zoun can still get more value out of it later on. That was sweet, because the fight at the choke point, that wasn't all that great, but what it did do is obviously it pulled a lot of units of ByuN out of position. That kind of opened the door for these Zealots to be successful in either the third base or the main base, and then Zoun is like, well guys, I'm still one of the best Protoss players in the world. I can get Zealots both in the third and in the main, and that's where it becomes really hard for ByuN, and it absolutely was.
Yeah, that was tough, as ByuN didn't try to recover from this. I mean, his army supply is still decent. I feel like maybe if you could catch a Colossus early or something along those lines. Otherwise, this gets tricky just with that worker count. He is making his way up to Ghosts. he is right now coming across the map with this main force, but getting through those choke points against splash damage, it's going to be very tough.
Yep. It's a decent amount of medevacs though, right? And like 1 Colossus is going to have a tough time. 2 Colossus is going to be a bit easier, but even 2 Colossus do not rip through like 7 or 8 Marauders. You really need a couple of extra Zealots, or maybe you need a battery nearby, but more Zealots running into a mineral line, couple of ByuNs from the high ground will actually take care of that. I wouldn't hate Disruptors after that 3rd Colossus, like almost immediately.
Yeah.
Even a couple of extra Immortals that we did lose in the previous fight wouldn't be a bad choice. I think both is fine.
Yep, well, you actually have a bit of a fight here as ByuN saying there's not really enough of a Zealot force to kind of stop him there. The Widow Mines go down though, and ByuN is pushed back as Zoun needs to be careful how far he goes.
Yeah, it's like you're still down 18 army supply. You actually have the economic advantage. You've got good units on the way. +2 is so close to finishing up, but it's not quite ready yet, so you definitely don't want to commit to a fight. That is a big old EMP, and there are no force fields here, no sentries, so the first Colossus goes down very quickly, and this Protoss army is starting to melt. I do feel that Zoun is getting a bit overeager here, right before +2. The Prism, the MVP of the game, is going to fall as well. 1 Immortal gets stacked, and another Colossus is going to be in a bit of a pickle, and oh my goodness, what, this definitely was a bit of a throw, or perhaps the throw that the average MLB player would be proud of, because we just lost everything while we had so much going for ourselves.
I mean, that was just ridiculous. 1 EMP that took away the force field that Zoun was relying on to keep him safe, right? And now ByuN is in a stellar position once again. He's, come back from the worker disadvantage. Yes, there's Disruptors, but they are the only thing Zoun has to help him out here. And there's not even Zealots to slow this Bio force down. It's just Stalkers. They melt so easily. If the Bio army gets on top of this Protoss force, Zoun is as good as done.
Yeah, this is not a very intimidating Protoss army anymore. Now, obviously, if ByuN would make a micro mistake, that'd still be a lot to be very hopeful of, but that's the one thing that ByuN has not done a whole lot throughout his entire career. The man has a stunning micro. 1 ball does connect with a couple of Terran units, but I don't think that is going to make the difference. At this point, these Zealots are just going to get picked off one by one. +1 armor is on the way, but these Stalkers are already better than Bruce from previous fights. Okay, well, okay, that was a connection and a half, and that's absolutely going to give Zoun some hope. There's obviously a lot more where that came from for ByuN. Wow, what a unfortunate move out before +2, without any way to keep the Terran units at bay, while having a 20 worker advantage and double robo up and running. What a sad moment to lose literally your entire army.
Yeah, I mean, even that Disruptor saving him for a while. Look at the damage done. 4th base is gone. He's lost the worker lead that he had. And now, of course, ByuN will just keep on commanding this game for a little while. The Disruptors might keep him at bay here and there, but in general, he's going to be able to bully his way around, and he's moving into Liberators. He's going to have that tech up. That will help to zone out the Disruptors as well.
Armory has been planted down for ByuN. He's just got Widow Mines for days at this point.
Yeah.
He can function a little bit as an observer as well. Zoun is gonna double expand. I gotta say, it's very ambitious. Of 59 probes and 127 supply. You don't often see 2 Nexus being built at the same time.
I'm surprised he feels like he needs it. He's not watching the Stalkers. That's another word of mine. Just sort of randomly placed, just watching for stuff like this and able to grab a kill. So ByuN's map control doing a lot for him.
And the only thing I can think of is that he maybe expects to lose the base below his main base one more time, and then he's like, still got the top left. Because he actually does not have the probes at all to utilize 5 bases either. It is obviously going to give him a bit of extra chrono to work with, but we are going to get a couple of cannons and batteries here, so he's clearly planning on defending this base. I think that's just going to make his life even worse, because he's got such few units, only 76 supplies, so defending the top left and basically the middle right side of the map at the same time, that seems borderline impossible to me, but let's see if Zoun has a plan.
Disruptor shot, looking and getting just a ghost or so at the front there. Just getting a little clip as ByuN starts up his 2-2, slowed that down massively to be able to afford a lot of the other tech up until now, so finally getting on track with that. And obviously Zoun has rebuilt those Colossi, so ByuN needs to make sure he's got a little bit of Vikings maybe, or at least comfortable to take those Colossi on, just with good EMPs and then the Bio surging forward.
The Archon Count is now going to get up there too, but I do think we still have a couple of ghosts in the mix. Zoun is once more just feeling very confident. He's like, I like my army, it's big, it has a lot of HP, and it definitely does until the EMPs connect, but ByuN did not have all of his units in the bottom left side. ByuN does need to be careful though, right, because his army is obviously not strong enough to only fight with 50%. That Widowmine shot was good, but 1 medevac did go down. Is ByuN able to unload in the main base? The answer is no, and I feel like now it's ByuN who's making this very hard on himself. Definitely definitely a shaky start to the first best of 5 of the playoffs here. Perhaps both players feeling a bit of pressure on the early morning.
ByuN gonna try and get to the low ground. He will unload here, but he loses a medevac, and there's one medevac that's not fully unloaded. Now you just recall home as Zoun, and there shouldn't be too much of a problem. We blink for the low HP medevac. The other will get into the main for what, a couple of units unloading? ByuN just lost so much supply in these last few moments. This was disastrous.
And he lost that entire army that he had on the right side, and that was like 4 medevacs, a bunch of marauders, a couple of marines, I think a ghost, a few widow mines. Now ByuN's economy is good, and obviously with all the mules he's going to be able to rebuild those units. And maybe he's just buying some time for himself to get +2 attack, +2 armor, but he doesn't quite have those upgrades yet. Definitely feels like a bad moment for ByuN to fight, but maybe he can micro his way out of it.
Yeah, he's got the Zealots on the right side that he's dealt with pretty well. He's had EMPs on the Archons, a couple of them get EMP'd again. They're now very close to going down, but the Disruptor is able to reach, and ByuN is going running. With Disruptors cleaning out these mines, they are not going to get connections, meaning that ByuN's supply continues to drop, and this back and forth game seems to now be fully in Zoun's control as he walks across the map. And all of this happened before 2-2 as ByuN scans top left and realizes, I'm in trouble.
The ultimate anti-timing there. We do have one Liberator that's going to try to keep this orbital safe, but Zoun's army is big, Zoun's army is powerful, and these Novas are connecting in the biggest possible way. And in the end, after an 18-minute game, it is still Zoun who takes the 1-0 lead. That really was a game and a half, buddy.
That really was quite something. I mean, this looked like ByuN was in a great position. Warp Prism saved Zoun. And it looked like Zoun was just going to come and kill ByuN, and then, yeah, anti-timing, lost everything. ByuN was going to win. We just kept going back and forth, didn't we?
Yep. In the end, that one Nova that he landed after he lost that Nexus, the one below his main base, that's the one who absolutely saved him, because normally I think ByuN can just rally everything to the other side of the map, and then it's a couple of Zealots and a couple of Stalkers, but against bio units that are being healed up by medevacs non-stop, and you have no armor upgrades, that should never make the difference. But that Nova did make the difference, and it's good that Zoun had the never say die attitude, because at one point I think I would have left where if I lose all my Stalkers, I lose my Immortals, I lose my Colossus, I lose the Prism. It's like, well, I know where this is going, but Zoun says, no, this is where I do my best work. And he did.
It was a game of them almost killing themselves a lot of the time, right? Zoun's move out wasn't necessary. ByuN's drop on that right side was a little bit too ambitious. Well handled by Zoun, but just putting himself in a place where he could lose what was a big advantage. And yeah, Zoun did everything then to do it right. So yeah, back and forth on both sides there. And yeah, great first game.
I think this was one of these games where if ByuN was less good than he actually is, and he wouldn't always see like the max potential and the max value in splitting up his Terran army, I think he would probably won that game. If you just keep all your Terran units together and you just kind of wait until you have 2-2 bio, you land a couple EMPs, you set up a little bit of a concave, tiny spread, and you drop EMPs, you stim forward. I generally think that his army was big and bad enough to just straight up win. Bad as in a good way, you know, badass army. But by splitting it up, he kind of gave Zoun a shot, because I don't think Zoun had a chance against the entire force of ByuN, but he did have a chance against 50%, and that's kind of what he found at first, and then he found the other 50%. And it was definitely a spicy way to start this best of 5. Let's see if this man can keep it together and bring things back. Representing the Shopify Rebellion, the Korean Terran player, ByuN.
In the top right-hand corner, taking that first game from Alpha X in the blue, it is Zoun.
That was one of these games where if you would hide the name text, it'd be like, yeah, that could have been a Zoun game.
Yeah. I actually be with you, I think.
I had to make one guess. You'd be like, which Korean Protoss player is this? I'm like, I think I know. Zoun just definitely gets very often in these like messy and scrappy and kind of sloppy games, but obviously is amazing in creating a lot of chaos, and I do gotta give him lots of kudos for all that Warp Prism play in the first 10 minutes of the game, because if it wasn't for those Zealots in the Prism, that game was pretty much over already. But he did a phenomenal job in, I wouldn't say picking ByuN apart, because I think then we are getting a bit carried away, but in just finding openings and finding little bits of damage that really did stack up.
Absolutely, as Zoun probe comes into scout, sees a barracks actually in the base this time around, so obviously a little bit nicer to see that, and doesn't have to deal with the early aggression that we saw last time, as ByuN looking very much so as he wants to put his expansion down here in a moment. Probe making that as difficult as possible, stops it by about 40 minutes.
It's been a while since we've seen just a Terran player go for a good old quick expand.
Yeah, Marine too.
Expand.
Oh, Probe now he gets it. 1 HP.
Factory goes down. If we drop a reactor, I want want to see if ByuN is going to send out any SCVs or not. What is that SCV up to? He's going to build a depot. This is a Clem going to be like, he's going to go for a Hellion drop, isn't he? I feel like Clem's Hellion drop ratio on this map against Protoss has increased to 87% lately. And like every Protoss still gets caught off guard. Units in the net, you're like, oh my god!
Hellion?
How did they get into the main? So early! And Clem is like, huh? Got him again?
They never see it coming. It's going to be a Stargate opening from Zoun, so obviously he's switching up quite a lot as well. Potential to play very defensive with that Stargate, but also take a good amount of map control. Just minimize the damage you take when you play that Stargate typically.
You think it's going to be straight up Phoenix? I feel like Zoun is a straight up Phoenix kind of guy.
That's who I think Zoun is, right? He's much more that than he is an Oracle into Blink or anything along those lines. So.
Yeah, Oracle into Blink is so damn hard to execute as well. Like on some of these bigger maps, maybe. Like Zoun is definitely someone I feel like I've seen him try it before and I was like, how on earth do you make it work? And then he blows my mind and I was like, that's actually really sick. But I feel like your life just becomes easier if you play Phoenix. But we just saw it there, even though we are looking at the first person view, aim high, brought to you by the US Air Force. That's an Oracle body.
That does look like an Oracle, as our Marine's going to get this Adept. It's trying to shade out of there. It is going to go down though. So Adept falls, grabbed an SCV, I believe. And yeah, Oracle to start us off, and ByuN already heading into Cyclone and Medevac. This could get kind of dangerous for Zoun.
Yep, especially after we lost an Adept, right? Did we
Yeah.
lose an Adept?
Yeah, we did.
Sometimes I get confused, man.
It's like, did it die?
My aim is not that good, buddy. I try to aim high, but most of the time I aim pretty low. You know, when I set ladder standards for myself as well.
Second Cyclone too, so really just this anti-Stargate setup from ByuN. And again, really opens the possibility again across the map and dealing damage. But the Oracle will find an empty mineral line here, so two SCVs going down pretty quick. Now the Oracle gets locked onto, not so hot a position. Do we have the vision needed to get the kill on this Oracle? We do! Oracle goes down, and that's really bad for Zoun. Giggles a bit to himself, but I'm sure he's not actually feeling too happy about it as the Marines go across the map in the Medevac.
Never knew Steph Curry was cosplaying as an Oracle, mate. That was from way downtown. Excellent scan, very quick thinking there by ByuN. And this little 8 Marine drop can absolutely cause some proper pain. Where are those gateway units? They are not where they are supposed to be. And even if these Marines don't have stim, I do like that reaction from Zoun. Very quick to react there. But even now it's a bit complicated to engage this, man. Like there's not a lot of micro potential in this Protoss army. So you kind of just need to start killing units. But ByuN is the one who's picking up Marines right now. What? Wolfbite. Look at this micro of our Korean Terran player.
This is what we love ByuN for, as he gets 2 Adepts, he gets a Stalker, gets the Phoenix as well, and why not add a couple probes on the end? He's actually going for the Stalker still, as the Cyclones are killing the battery on the natural expansion. It will go down, he'll start to pick his way through some Adepts. They just don't do good damage to these Cyclones. The Zealot's actually probably a good call there, as a Phoenix looking for the lift up on the healthier one. The low HP one goes down to a Zealot swipe, and I mean, this one's going to drop and should just be able to run away, right?
Imagine if these Cyclones would have not gone for the battery, but they just drive straight into the main base.
Yeah.
Like, even if they take a couple of hits, I think that would have been absolutely fantastic. Because as amazing as the Marine micro was, I gotta say, the Cyclone micro was a bit sloppy. Someone like ByuN should obviously never lose a Cyclone against a Zealot hit.
Especially not twice. You're in a bit of a mood for cursing the games, right?
I'm done, mate. Like, I don't know. I mean, come on. I'm not saying crazy things over here, mate.
No, I don't think we should be losing.
Like, sure, if charge is done, that's one thing, but these are slow Zealots. Cloak Banshee, though, is going to hit.
Yeah, hit and hit hard because there's observers not out yet. We clog up immediately as the first Stalker can't start to do damage. There's no battery here anymore, so the probes have nowhere to really run to. And that means 4 probes and counting, plus all the lost mining time as well. And even some of the probes are coming back as the Banshee will go down, yes, but 6 workers, and again, a lot of lost mining.
What I really like that towards the end is that ByuN is not doing the thing that I feel like almost all of us have done throughout our lives, whereas like you try to save a unit that cannot be saved.
Yeah.
Like there is a Phoenix on top of it, there is an Observer on top of it. Yet so often you see people like, oh, I'm gonna send the Banshee away then, like, and you can't possibly outrun a Phoenix. So it's actually better to do like the anti-basic instinct of like, I'm not gonna actually micro my unit, I'm just gonna keep it here and get the maximum amount of shots off. And because of that, he killed 2 extra probes.
Yep. Makes a lot of sense. This Phoenix Banshee little interaction not going to go well for the Terran. Does get the cloak off. Do we have any detect nearby? We do.
Well, that's very nice for Zoun. So definitely did take a bit of a beating of the first Banshee, but he dealt with the second one without losing anything, and that's going to make you feel a little more confident again as a Protoss. These games, man, they are nothing like a lot of the online games that we cast very often. You really do feel that during like offline events. I had this yesterday as well, like watching even the first best of threes of the day and the second series, that Spirit Mana game. I feel we see different kinds of game on LAN. Like obviously not every game is like, wow, we've never seen this before, but it does really feel that the pacing and a lot of the tiny moves are just a bit different when it comes to online and offline play, and it's really cool to see how hard these guys all try.
Phoenix trying hard to get as much info as they can, diving straight into this main, even kind of grabbing SCV. They also spotted the initial push that was coming as well, so ByuN turns around because of it. So great job with the Phoenix, and just making the most as ByuN will scan to just keep up to date on what exactly Zoun is doing.
We have a Raven, right?
Do we? Oh, we do. Yeah, completely missed that.
There's a bit of energy on that Raven, but that Raven could really come into play, even though I think by the time that ByuN truly wants to move out, there might be triple Colossus, and then I'm not sure how impactful Interference Matrix would really be. I gotta say, that's a quick Templar Archives, all things considered, that we have a bunch of Phoenixes out right now. We are working on Colossus. It might be good if Zoun feels that ByuN is gonna build Vikings before Ghost. Yep. But if ByuN ends up building Ghost before Vikings, then I'm personally not too fond of the super quick Templar Archives.
Well, Phoenix want to get that medevac, getting some damage done to it, and the Bioforce will begin to move forward into the center of the map. So, as though we're looking for a move out. Single High Templar will maybe just looking for the feedback.
Yeah, that's what I was actually just thinking of. But yeah, you can still at least get one Archon, but then you still get the one off High Templar. And I was like, okay, if you do land the feedback on that Raven, especially if the Raven shows up when it's almost full on energy, then it's actually kind of a sick call.
Just gonna find another SCV. These Phoenix have been great at this. Just little bits of damage adds up over time. Just helping Zoun to maintain that little bit of a worker lead in the game. Even going to turn around here for one more. Takes some missile turret damage though. And now these Marines just going to intercept one Phoenix.
I love how quickly... Oh, what did ByuN do there?
No, it's a Zealot.
Okay. He's shooting at his own units. Very quick response by ByuN once more, right? And another Phoenix just gets gunned down. Man, he's so quick in targeting those Phoenixes. As we do have the Raven in the back. Guardian Shield gets activated. It's going to be an anti-armor missile, and a feedback did land on the Raven there.
Yep, anti-armor missile just going to scare the Protoss from really wanting to take a fight. Very risky to take it with your units taking that much more damage, especially the tanky kind of Zealots and everything, right? Because then if that melts, everything else dies so quickly.
ByuN is going to be at least an upgrade advantage he had. And yeah, after picking off a couple of those Phoenixes, ByuN feels that this could very well be a good moment to maybe go for a big old drop. I do think that the Zelnaga Watchtower on the bottom right side though is under control of Zoun. ByuN will see that, so he's going to unload a lot of units to take care of his Zealot. And will Zoun feel that there is an opening right now with his army? He is setting up, I think, a proper engagement with a couple of units coming in from this angle and maybe running into the natural too. This is risky though. Like, I believe they said something along the lines a long time ago, never base raid a Terran. Well, I don't know if Zoun is going to base raid. No, Zoun is basically walking into his sandwich.
Yep, he's surrounded, and these couple Phoenix, this Archon that's reinforcing is in some trouble. ByuN will finish the Archon at least. Zoun, what are you doing? I mean, he's going to fight through a choke point into preset mines tank.
This cannot be a good idea.
No, I hate it.
If this is a good idea, Protoss is broken body. As we do have a couple of ByuNs that is coming in from the top. That War Prism is in a sweet spot. The boys are being pulled as well. I love the fact that we're lifting up that command center. And this Protoss army is in all sorts of trouble. And I don't think we can really force our way around. The Marines were ahead of the Marauders there though. So that was actually a bit problematic. And ByuN is losing a lot of supply. It is a good idea. Protoss is broken. And Zoun just gets the 2-0 lead.
Well, you know, I like this fight a lot better for ByuN when he had the surround.
Yeah, when he came in from the bottom right. That's what I actually thought was going to happen as well.
Then he went back around to join everything up together, but that made him have to come through the choke. And then Zoun's like, okay, well, I'll just go into your natural, and I use that choke as well. I don't know what ByuN was thinking. I feel like he had the perfect setup.
Yep, and they came in from the right side and the top left, and you have a couple of defensive Widow Mines. That is indeed what I thought was going to happen as well. But he sent the units back towards... Maybe he's worried that he ran into a bunch of Zealots there, so I have no idea.
Yeah,
he actually had a lot of units there as well.
He could have gotten top of the Colossi straight away, for example, take them out the fight. I think that was a crazy move from ByuN.
But even despite that, I'm still surprised that it went so well for Zoun, because he did run into a couple of Widow Mines. I think there was maybe a tank in the back there as well that was getting a couple of shots up. And we can take another look at this fight. I love it. But we are talking obviously about the force in the top right side. That was a force that could have came in from the bottom right. And if it comes in from the bottom right, then the Colossus are forced to skew the different units, and the Colossus are nowhere near as effective. And I think a very big problem here as well, Wad, is that all the Marines are actually in front of the line of Marauders, and that is not the way you ever want to engage as a Terran player.
and it took him so long to get the units that were in the bottom right around the top to start fighting as well. So they weren't in the fight for a long time, so he lost a good amount of SCVs, a good few units there initially as well.
Yeah.
Multiple
Yeah, it felt like we had the absolutely perfect setup there, and then suddenly we made it a difficult engagement for ourselves.
Just gave up your natural. Yeah, very, very weird set of choices. As the pressure gets to ByuN and Zoun. 2-0 lead. I would never have guessed a 2-0 lead for Zoun.
It's been a bumpy ride, but the man does have a 2-0 lead, and it's a big series. It's the playoff series. So that obviously means if you lose here, you are eliminated from the tournament. And ByuN is definitely looking a little flustered at this point. He probably feels like, man, I feel like these games are going fine, by the way. Like, I'm off to pretty good starts. I feel like I'm playing my game. How on earth am I now 2-0 down in the elimination series? And yeah, definitely, obviously, with like 1 or 2 minor changes, this could have been a 2-0 lead for ByuN. Spicy start to the day.
Exciting stuff as, Zoun a map away from round of 16. And of course, this is that section of the bracket which is oh so scary for anybody, because next up on the block is Cyril. So yeah, we have other results, by the way.
Yeah, we do. We do have a couple of results for you guys. Bunny has taken the 2-1 lead over the Canadian Protoss hero Trigger. And Nightmare continuing his absolutely magical run that started in round 1 of the knockout bracket, guys. That means that Nightmare lost in the very first group stage of this tournament, and in the very old days, 2017, 2016, he would have been eliminated, $0, go home. But because we implemented the knockout bracket a couple years ago in 2019, kudos to Alex007 for that one, Nightmare had another lifeline, and he became the first player in StarCraft 2 history to start in round 1 of the knockout bracket, make it all the way into the playoffs, and now today he wins his opening series in the playoffs with a 3-1 victory over Neep.
That is shocking. As Hero Marine dispatches a Gumiho as well, that's a fast TVT as well to set up the TVZ next round.
And you gotta give some kudos to Gabe there, by the way, man. Like, Gumiho gets a lot of praise.
He's great in TVT.
I'm pretty sure Gumiho was in the top 10 of that power ranking of X-Angel, and I didn't see a Gabriel in there.
Well, I'm gonna complain.
Yeah, me too. Take that, Wax. Waiting all weekend for you to make a mistake, mate. Now we have it. That was actually, it's always fun to read the articles on Team Liquid and just to get a bit of hype going, right, going into the event. At first I was like, man, Ragnarok 5th. I was like, Wax, you're getting a bit too carried away there. But yesterday, Ragnarok did have a very good showing and he did win his group. And that is actually an exciting round 2, man. I kind of hope that's main stage, to be completely honest. Ragnarok, runner-up, GSL Codes against the biggest of Gabriels, the Courtmeister. I feel like that has mainstream written all over it.
Especially with Scarlet Neep disappearing. I think that's what we were talking about initially, but yeah.
I mean, Scarlet Nightmare is super exciting also because of storylines. Like, we all love Scarlet. We're happy to see NA players do well. If Scarlet makes it into the quarterfinals with DreamHack Masters Atlanta, I think we'll all be like, damn, finally again. Like, it's about time that we see Scarlet have a run like this. But if Nightmare's absolute magical run just continues, I don't think you can be too upset over that either. Round 1 knockout bracket, Wadi. That's crazy.
We have so many great storylines, so many great matches. It's going to be a really good day of StarCraft 2. And I believe it's going to continue right now as we head into Game 3 of this best of 5. In the top right-hand corner, boy, does he need your energy, does he need your love. From the Shopify Rebellion, down 0-2, and looking to bring it back right now, it is ByuN.
And in the top left side of Stargazers, we're looking at the main base of the Korean Protoss. Against all odds, perhaps, after losing the last 4 series in a row against the guy on the other side of the stage, he has now taken the 2-0 lead in his all-important best of 5. This is Alpha Axis Zoun. Is this the very first time we see Stargazers on the mainstream?
Apparently so. That's what they were saying on the desk.
I mean, I don't remember any other games.
I remember seeing Data C a lot.
Yeah, and Inside and Out. A little bit of Waterfall.
Yeah, a little bit.
Very few Moondance games, by the way, so far, as well on the main stage.
Yeah, Moondance makes into best of 3s a lot as well, right?
Online, I feel like I see Moondance all the time, but barely seen it this weekend. Sure, it has been played once or twice, but has been a lot of Inside and Out, a lot of Data C, a little bit of Cosmic.
Yeah.
This is the first time we see Stargazers. I don't know if Piggy is awake yet over there in Atlanta, but Pig was the one who implemented the teddy bear. Look at the minimap. You see a teddy bear's face.
I see the teddy bear's face,
You see the eyes, you see the nose.
He implemented it?
Yep. Big was the one who put at least this image in my mind. And ever since then, when I look at stargazers, I see a teddy bear. And I think of Pig every single time I play this map. And I lose a lot on it, so I'm like, damn, Pig. Even though I'm Protoss, it's kind of impressive.
Yeah, might be a good map for you, mate.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad, but PvPs are a bit annoying.
Wow. Okay, PvP is a whole new species. Definitely not the same.
Oh, we have a second barracks for the first time in this series, so ByuN is going to switch it up. Obviously, ByuN had a decent amount of information to work with, because Zoun didn't play a single series against Big Gabriel yesterday. He played against Big Gabe twice, and ByuN is doing the build that I've literally never seen lose a game in competitive StarCraft 2 history. I can say that with a straight face, buddy, because I have never seen this build lose. The win rate of 3-racks in competitive tournaments is very high.
Very high, Roddy. I've watched the stream enough to see that that's true for sure.
I mean, when even Cuckoo can pull off builds like this, you know it's a very... Gotta give some love to my Romanian youngster. But no, this is cool, right? We see 3-racks against a Stargate opening. In theory, this is very good for ByuN. But Stargazers is kind of a big map when it comes to bio units walking down the ramp into the natural. So obviously the memes and the jokes aside. Like if this would have been a scenario that plays out on like Inside and Out or Waterfall, I'd be like, oh, I think Zoun is in trouble unless he like picks up on it very quickly. Maybe on Stargazers he's going to be a little bit more fine, but I do still think that ByuN is going to be the one with a lot of battle units very early on, and obviously there's always a lot of potential in the initial move out.
Yeah, but Orbital on the in-base as well, getting in position. ByuN just hops up, should have seen the Stargate there, right? So, able to see what's going on.
You know what would be sick, by the way? Who is this Reaper? Is in a bit of trouble, and the Reaper gets picked off mid-air. Must have had a railgun there or something. That was impressive. You know, it would be actually very sick if ByuN right now would go full Upper 3 Zelda, and you grab 6 SCVs, you mine out the minerals, in your pocket expand, and your 3-rack shows up 30 seconds quicker.
It's already unbeatable, Roddy. We don't have to make it completely unbeatable.
I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
So Zoun is going to see it right now with his Oracle. Activated Pulsar Beam for a split second. Was able to net himself single kill. Goes Oracle into Blink. You would definitely recommend a shield battery or two. Yesterday we saw Zoun have a bit of an Artosis pilot in the natural, and Big Gabriel was pushing him.
Yeah.
One pilot powered, I believe, the Robo and 2 gateways. Against the 3-racks, please do not have a single pilot in your natural.
Yeah, that is just asking for, obviously, disaster, as the Oracle takes quite a few hits here, trying to get SCVs, but not really succeeding.
I like that.
We're going to be moments away from getting across the map here with ByuN can move as we proxy a gate as well for the counter-attack.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. And obviously 3 adepts is kind of a cool number. Zoun is definitely playing very solid against the 3-rack so far. I don't think that he's doing anything wrong up to this point. And ByuN could be in a bit of a pickle if he really commits and he walks to the other side of the map, and the Stalkers do a good job in kiting these Marines, as the Marines will start stimming immediately, and Blink is not quite done yet. So that first Stalker is in a bit of trouble. The other Marine is going to stim as well, and Zoun is definitely going to lose a couple of units here, but ByuN is obviously dealing a lot of damage to his own Marines too, and there is still that shield battery, don't forget about that. And now like the counterattack becomes very intimidating. Like if I was ByuN, I think I send these units back, because if he loses all of them and Zoun starts warping in a lot of Stalkers on the other side of the map, ByuN is in a bit of trouble.
I mean, ByuN's already, this decision to go around this way is a little interesting. I know what he's trying to do, and he is going to get 1 Stalker. He's going to get 2. These low HP Marines are showing up, and these other ones are in a little bit of trouble as well. He just blinks away with that one, as this time the Marines are going to run out of love, but he slowed Zoun down a little bit, I guess. Zoun getting more Stalkers and will come across the map now.
Yep, it's very important for ByuN to figure out that like Zoun did not have a quick third, as the Oracle is still flying around as well. Did not have a very quick third Nexus, not all the gases were taken. You want to make sure that you are aware of a potential Blink Stalker counterattack. I do see 2 Marauders at a time being built. How many Marauders does ByuN currently have out on the map? 3. Okay, then I think he's fine. He's definitely fine for now. If I was Zoun, I wouldn't be too crazy. Don't tell me you're the crazy guy that would blink across the depots. Don't do it, Zoun. Don't be that guy. Never be that guy.
He is not being that guy. He's being a little bit safer here as the depot is low HP, and he's going to continue to hit those units a little bit. ByuN might be able to save that depot as well, as he gets a good few Stalker kills.
Yeah. This is risky though, because what ByuN could do right now is pick up a couple of units, drop them on the low ground, and then collapse on these Stalkers, and then no amount of Blink or Rico is going to save you. So Zoun, you cannot just assume that you're going to be safe there forever. We have a stim. This is going to stim from far away, but this is obviously something that Zoun sees coming. and he can anticipate against. I would have loved to see ByuN try to go for a little drop, at least one medevac, maybe two medevacs onto the low ground, but there was that hallucinated Phoenix that was going to give Zoun the heads up, and this is really good play by Zoun, man, creating a bit of high ground vision, sniping an SCV that's building the third command center. Just needs to be careful that he doesn't throw away too many units.
He is just getting so much out of these Stalkers, really finding value, fighting here for a little while longer, blinking away, really making the absolute most of the upgrade he's invested into. That Stalker unfortunately took a bad path, and these other couple in troubles, it didn't have Blink available yet. ByuN making a few pickoffs and just undoing some of the value that Zoun got so far.
Yeah, the bio units have +1, they had a bit of that medevac support as well. Zoun could potentially blink into the pocket expand, and that is exactly what he's going to do with not just a couple, but with pretty much all of them. Marauders are going to stim forward though. Don't forget about the other bio units, look at the minimap, they are going to try to engage, but this is something that ByuN could have done before. If he would have immediately sent those units there to prevent the defensive blink, ooh, Zoun would have been in a lot of trouble, and he still has not found that gateway, Wardy.
Yeah, it's just sat there, and that can be a problem later on, of course. Even just Zealots as charge comes into play, running into that mineral line, that can cause chaos. We saw the Zealots do so well for Zoun in the first game, and if you don't even need a Prism to set them up, even better.
I'm definitely very concerned at this point for ByuN, the man who has impressed us a lot lately over the last few months. He looked so damn good online, he was really back, finding his stride again, playing better than we've seen him play in a little while. Down 0-2, and even game 3 is not quite going his way. It's definitely a playable game, he's not down and out, but we know that at this point this is going to be a very difficult game, because the first Colossus is once more out on the way. And ByuN is really going to need to make damn sure that he's going to babysit these units properly, and we cannot make careless drops like we did on Inside and Out, because that could be the end of his tournament.
Yeah, no, he can't make the mistakes, right? He's got to be extremely on point. He is trying to tech up into that Ghost Academy. He's got to be very sure about every move he makes. With these Blink Stalkers on the map, a badly placed drop could be game-ending. As the random sentry just been sitting there hallucinating, and it's now going to be punished a little bit.
Sentry's like, I could have hallucinated from home, man. Like, why am I in the center of the map? Like, the units I hallucinate are quick, I promise, man. It is what it is. 100 gas is something that Zoun can survive. We're mining off 3 bases at second robo. Do we have the extended thermal lens upgrade? Just checking. Yes, we do. I was like, I haven't seen it, I'm sure it's done, but just making sure, as ByuN is going to work on the enhanced shockwaves. I'm still kind of fascinated by what we saw on Data C, because that really should have been a great fight for ByuN, right? But now I'm like, oh, we're not going to go any fights anymore.
Just got to be really careful, right? It's been one of those series where, I mean, when you call the Cyclones surviving against the Zealots and that doesn't happen, it might just not be your day. Zealots, here we go, just going to come in over here and straight into this mineral line, going to start causing issues, and it's just damage that's going to add up as ByuN is looking for ways in, but...
What a moment as well, right? Right when ByuN picks up all these units, potentially drop, ByuN wants to be the one who wants to find some damage, and instead is Zoun with just a couple of random Zealots, and this doesn't happen very often, that you see 5 Zealots being wiped in a 10-minute game where the main armies are not even remotely close to each other and they kill 13 SCVs. That's around 12 more than you normally see 5 Zealots kill if there is no other action taking place.
Yeah, no, it's really good damage for Zoun, and like you said, it's just the worst moment. ByuN's entire setup just gets undone, unraveled before Zoun's even aware of it, and just going to send some more Zealots down here. It's so cheap for him to do, and it's just causing so much chaos for ByuN to deal with consistently.
What would you like to see as a response against the disruptors that Zoun is currently building?
On this map, it's honestly not a bad thing to, once your ghost count's comfortable, just get Liberators going, right? Just zone. It's a very choky map. It's very defined by pathways. Liberators and Liberange can do a lot to help the disruptors, deal with the disruptor on this map as well. Oh, the medevac's in the front there, and ByuN is running. Zoun's just going to be on top of ByuN's base. That fourth probably going to get cancelled. Zealots on the other side, well, they're probably going to have a bit of trouble.
ByuN has a big drop. I was like, where are all the medevacs? And there they are. We are going to use our recalls, not the entire army. You need to be careful there, actually. Ooh, imagine if the bio units would have gone a bit deeper forward. But there are a couple of gateway support units there as well. I do believe the Novas blew up a couple of Protoss units, and ByuN does come out of this with a supply lead, but he lost the orbital or command center.
Just losing the fourth base, right, is a little bit rough because there's obviously, a situation where Zoun has a lot of bases himself. Just got to be careful there, but yeah, the big drop on the main base absolutely saved him. Still causing chaos. These couple mines left behind likely get some more damage done at some point as well. So yeah,
and those units are still there. Look at that in the pocket expand.
Oh yeah,
they haven't even left.
Just hiding away, waiting to come back, but Zoun's still in the main base, so this is not quite the moment to make a reappearance, I feel like.
ByuN is like, let me help you with that, sir. Stalkers blink forward. A lot of the Stalkers getting gunned down. I still kind of wish that ByuN maybe would have waited a bit longer rather than go. But hey, now at least he knows that a couple of the units are out of position. He needs to be careful. This army has already simmed a couple of times. So then the Colossus really pack a punch. And those Disruptors are terrifying near shield batteries. Like the upgrades of ByuN are looking mighty fine. So I say at this point, let's wait until these upgrades kick in. And I would indeed love to see that second starport as well. So we are still shooting at our own units to play Minesweeper. You do eventually want to get something, right? It's either you get a lot of tanks or you get Liberators with lib range. But I feel like if you want to play lib range, you need that second starport right about now.
Medevac's are going to come in and load into this mineral line in the bottom left-hand side. Zoun's nowhere near being able to deal with this, and of course no recall available. Super battery pops, but I don't think it's going to save the Nexus. The few Zealots running in will not do much either. Just trying to keep the army here long enough for some Stalkers to show up. But big fight at the top side. EMP goes down. ByuN gets out of there, but before the Disruptors are really going to be that deadly. And ByuN has a great couple moments fighting in two different places.
Definitely feels that ByuN is playing incredibly solid over the last 2-3 minutes, but this is still one of these games where a Protoss play can absolutely end it with 1 or 2 great Novas, a forward blink, the Terran player not fighting with their entire army, so ByuN needs to be very careful. He's down 15 army supply actually, and this army does not have too many medevacs. The Novas connect with 2 goals there, I believe, and that's obviously a pricey start already. The entire Protoss army is EMP'd, but I don't know if ByuN can really collapse on this army. We are still dropping, and that's a lot of ByuN to have in the left side of the map.
Oh, it was, but the Stalker's going to get rid of at least a little bit of it. One of the emptier medevacs going down.
Oh
Still
no.
going back and forth over here. These ghosts are low and the Colossi helping to pick them off.
Look at the amount of blood there on the floor, mate. I'm pretty certain that we had a big Nova going down in the heart of this Bio army. And this is all right before a +3 attack. ByuN trying to buy some time. Fighting the interplanetary should be all right for him. As Zoun drops a Dark Shrine, but still struggling. His army is not fantastic against the Disruptors. I feel that the way that ByuN plays, like it's always fine against like 2 Disruptors, but the moment it becomes 4 or 5, it's just almost impossible to get the job done with just these Bio units on the ground.
But the drop at least going to get a few more probes. He just abandons those units, doesn't want to lose the medevac, so just happy to force some mining time lost, get a couple kills. The rest of ByuN's force making its way forward. Zoun getting more and more comfortable later game. 2 upgrades on the way. Dark Shrine being added on, so getting some of that further harass available. His economy sucks though, but it means his standing army is massive.
We have a Nova going down there, a couple of units in the front. Nice Nova on the SCVs. That's 14 of them going down. And it does feel that ByuN once more is in a bit of trouble. He's just trying to buy time and trying to hopefully get a great fight near the planetary fortress. But a lot of SCVs have already gone down, so this PF could definitely go down. We still have that little drop happening on the left side. Another Nova connects. ByuN knows that he needs to save this base with his tournament life on the line. He's doing whatever he can, but it's just looking very grim. A couple of units are still stuck inside of the medevacs as well. ByuN needs every single unit he can get his hands on at this point.
Zoun is a good disruptor shot away from being able to break through this force, so ByuN dancing well. He's set up on the bottom side though. Now he's got to come up a ramp into this Protoss army, and well, he's going to try and split a couple directions, but Zoun's very aware of it. Boom, boom, and Disruptors go huge. ByuN is going to be in a lot of trouble now. His army has just disappeared completely, and Zoun's force is going nowhere. Zoun gets a 3-0.